So I wanted to make a quick review on the JB Rack's vertical rack. There's a lot of positive reviews on the internet. I haven't found it positive at all. I'm not trying to rip on the company. I just thought, another opinion might help prospective buyers, and I've had a lot of issues which I think other brands do better. So the first issue I've got is when you get it, it's really complicated to build. There are hundreds of, there's not hundreds, but there's lots of bolts. Some of them are really awkward to get at. And when you tighten them, you actually squish the metal. The next thing with the build quality is how easily the paint is coming off with normal wear and tear. And even where there's not paint coming off, you can see rust has started to develop. And this has been after 2 months. Now, it's been stored outside on the vehicle, but I would have thought that'd be a pretty reasonable thing to expect for a bike rack. And when they weigh 40 kilos, you don't take them on and off every day. And there's wear and tear on, pretty much throughout the rack. I don't think that that's cool. When I got in touch with JB about this wear and tear, they've sent me new baskets, as well as new straps. I'll talk about that in a minute. So again, their customer service was pretty reasonable, but really I wanted a full refund, and they've just offered a few replacement parts. The main reason I'm making this video though is because I don't think that it's a very good design at all. And the problem is with the cage shape, as well as the little tabs that stop the back wheel from moving, plus the strap. So firstly, the cage here, it's not very wide and it doesn't hold bigger, fatter tires. Actually, one of my kids' tires is too fat. The next thing is when you try and put the strap over, just normal, these are 2.3s, maybe 2.4 tires. It's really hard to get the strap onto the locking tab next to a normal tire. Most of the other designs have a tab somewhere here or somewhere, maybe here, but here next to the tire, normal tire knobs get in the way. Then, because you've got to pull them, the straps bust. I've had 2 of them bust. And then, pretty importantly, these tabs just don't hold the back wheel. You use sort of a semi-ratchet strap which can go over the, supposed to go over the pedal, but on a kid's bike you can put it somewhere else and you ratchet it down. The problem is that with a little bit of a bump, the bike can jolt over that tab very easily, and then next thing it's really loose enough that a smaller tyre can jump out of the cage easily. Now, I haven't had the bigger tyre jump out, but I've certainly had the back wheel come free and it's flopping around and bouncing over, speed bumps and whatnot. So in combination of a very generic shape basket and a really poorly designed system for securing the bottom wheel, it doesn't work very well at all. One other issue with the JB is the clearance. Because of the square design at the bottom, it means it'll catch a back wheel quite easily on a steep driveway. One of my wheels dragged on the ground and that was enough to sort of bend the whole bar. Now, despite it being super heavy and complicated to build, it's not that strong. My final major gripe is with the lowering and raising mechanism. We've gone for the optional pneumatic cylinders. And the problem with these is that it's extremely hard to lower it. Now, you can sort of go really nice and slowly, but, unless you sort of like I'm a big guy, and if I hang off this, I have to wait and wait and wait. And it's a total pain, and that's with one bike on it. With 0 bikes, it's even harder. It's not very easy for someone who's not super strong. Like, lots of mums out there are going to struggle with this far more than the videos make it look. Now it'll raise back up, and that's okay. The pneumatics assist. But once it goes up, it's really hard to get the pin through the hole because it doesn't line up very well. So now with all the bikes loaded, it's hard to show it here because it's half loaded. When it's fully loaded, you have to somehow reach between the bikes to push it forward, the last little bit, to get the locking pin through there. So I'd suggest to buy, don't bother with these. Lower this when the rack is empty. Don't expect to lower it when the rack is full, because once you raise it up, you can't get the pin back in. So for comparison, we've gone with a different brand now and it's solved pretty much all those problems. I'm not meaning a brand comparison per se. There's lots of different brands out there, but you'll see the cage design is much different and it catches bigger wheels much more easily. The straps come up and over and go on a tab at the back, and so your tires don't get in the way, and the straps are much more robust. The tab that catches the wheel holds and centers them. This is a kid's bike. It's not designed for this 24-inch wheel, but this goes through here and hooks it down nice and securely, and I've had 0 problems even with smaller bikes for a little while, and was totally fine. There's little bits of scratches on the paint, but it seems to be scuffing rather than coming off. The cages are secured over the bar, not by bolts on the top. The JB attaches here and they're already loosening and pivoting, and you have to retighten them. This is a much better design to have it secured this way, so it clearly can't twist. In terms of releasing the bike rack, you can do it loaded or unloaded. This one here has got a design where you take this pin out, pull the lever, and the whole thing comes down really very easily, whether it's loaded or unloaded. Now, this is an unfair comparison because this rack costs more, but there are different brands that are not much more than the JB, which do a much better job of lowering and going up. So there's better solutions. And in terms of construction, each of these needed to be bolted on and bolt the one bar. It took about 40 minutes. The JB probably took me 4 hours. So far easier to put it together and far easier to live with. But personally, I think it's worth the extra money to go with a different brand. I've had it's so inconvenient to use that it put me off loading the bikes. And now with a different rack, it's just, don't even think about it. You put them on, you put them off, you put them on, you put them off. The design makes a huge difference. So I'd suggest you to go with any other brand if you want any convenience at all.